Welcome to Meeples on Meeples, episode 24. First off, we'd just like to say come check out our Facebook, our fresh brand new site, meeplesonmeeples.com. You can also find us on YouTube, but all of our videos are on the website. Just a quick reminder that we do have the contest going 28th of this month.
Yep. And all the way through February.
All the way through February at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. 2013 will be the end. Just in case you missed it last week. Anybody that subscribed to us, we have a $20 gift card to Cool Stuff Inc. Is that what it is?
That's right. YouTube has to be subscribed to our YouTube.
I'm sorry. It's subscribed to our YouTube channel, so check us out. And this week we are playing Lords of Waterdeep.
You want to start intros?
Yep. I'm Ian.
Patrick.
Brian.
Andrew.
As Andrew just said, this week's game is Lord of Waterdeep. It is a game for 3 to 5 players, ages 12 and up. And it's basically your typical Euro people placement resource utilization game with a little bit of a twist. Just like with any other people placement game, you take one of your meeples here and you place it on any location on the board. Now the board starts off with several locations pre-printed on the map, and you can use those at any time. Like most people placements, one meeple per space or per location, and you put your meeple on there, and if you put it on certain spaces you get resources like orange. In this game, an orange cube represents fighters, or purple, which represents wizards and mages, black thief, white clerics. They're kind of more names than actual the blocks that you see, but it's kind of trying to keep with the theme. Now, another interesting bit about this resource utilization game is that if I put an individual here in something called Builder's Hall, there are 3 buildings down there, and you can purchase one of these buildings for the cost up at the corner. And if you purchase that building, you can place it in one of the squares around the map, and that building can now be used by other players. Now, when you place the building there, you put your marker on it, and this is what's really neat about this game. When another player places their meeple on this board card, they get the reward that's seen on the board card, but the owner also gets a reward as well, as long as the owner isn't the one who used that card. Another neat thing about this game is everyone is dealt 2 quest cards at the beginning. Throughout the game, you can place meeples on the Cliff Watch Inn. You can also gain more quest cards, and this is what you're using your resources for. When you utilize and gain enough resources, you can complete at the end of your turn this quest card, and you get the reward. And what you're trying to reward yourself with are the victory points, which is kept track on the outside. So this is how you gain the victory points. Another interesting twist is everyone also gets intrigue cards. You can get more intrigue cards by going to Waterdeep Harbor. And intrigue cards are things that you can play. Excuse me, you play them when you get to Waterdeep Harbor. I'm sorry, you can gain them from several squares. But when you go to Waterdeep Harbor, you can play some of these intrigue cards. And some of these intrigue cards give you bonuses, more resources. Some of them give you a bonus, and you have to choose one of your opponents to gain a bonus. And some of them are just all-out screw cards, where you can make another person complete that quest, which will interrupt any of their other quests that they were trying to gain resources for. They can't go on until they complete that quest. You keep playing this for a total of 8 rounds. At the end of 8 rounds, you total up how many victory points you have so far, plus you get extra victory points for having gold left over after purchasing things. You get resource points for any of the cubes that you had not used to complete a quest. And the final thing is, everybody at the beginning of the game gets a Lord card. It's a secret card that you keep hidden from everybody else. And the Lord card has a secret objective or a secret agenda that tells you how you can gain extra points at the end. For example, hers is she gains 4 for every arcane and skullduggery quest that she had completed. And simple as that, the person who has the most victory points at the end is the Lord of Waterdeep. Anything anyone else wants to add?
No, that's pretty basic.
We usually jump into our components at this point.
Who wants to start with components?
I like the components. I mean, they're simple. You know, obviously, you know, if these were flashy, you know, a thief, you could have little characters, but really, it does the job. I mean, it doesn't really play into the story as well, but it definitely does the job when you.
And when they're not cheap cardboard, it's wood.
No,
you know, wood cubes.
Wood cubes, and it's nice just because you can see.
Wow.
I mean, you can see them fairly well if they're on the board or if they're across the table. So
and the meeples are also that nice wooden pieces as well. I mean, all the pieces that you interact with. The cardboard pieces that are used are pretty heavy-duty cardboard, and you utilize them for the guild that you are marking the buildings. The buildings are nice hard cardboard as well. The gold pieces are nice hard cardboard. Even your victory point trackers are nice wooden pieces.
I do like that the buildings are notched a little bit, and then you got the your little colored piece, and it's actually designed to fit right in there, which is pretty cool. Instead of just being setting on top of it or next to it.
As far as the board, I think the color is very drab. It looks like a village when you really look up close, but at first inspection, the first time I saw it, I thought it was really kind of an ugly board, I'll be honest. But I do like that it's very easy to read, and it has spaces marked for where every type of card goes, where the quest cards are laid out, where the buildings can go, it's just a simple layout. You couldn't mess it up even if you wanted to.
Draw decks and discard decks are well plotted out.
My point to the rest of the game is when you start throwing these guys on, I mean, everything's really busy. You might miss one of your gold tokens. That's really the only weird part with because I'm colorblind that I find maybe more distracting. However, though, the really interesting part of this one is all the different colors of your individual pieces, your individual colors are all different from each other. I have no trouble seeing the difference between like a yellow and a red versus a purple or a black. I mean, all colors on you don't really blend or contrast.
What colors tend to normally throw you off?
It's the red, green, brown, blue, purple. I mean, and a lot of times when people do a blue and a purple, and I have troubles with going back and forth. But every single one
there's no blue. It's
completely different in the color spectrum. I have no trouble seeing anything on this board.
I know he thinks he's wearing a plaid shirt right now.
Just one color.
It's not striped.
It's not polka dotted either. The cards are pretty good, decent card stock. I mean, they're not thin, flimsy cards. We've shuffled them several times. They've been used. Hold up pretty well.
This one's starting to bend.
I think the art on them is actually pretty decent too.
Yeah.
Most of the cards, I mean, they're all different, but it's not pictures. It's just regular art. I wouldn't say it's phenomenal, but it gets the job done better than some other games I've seen.
And each quest card has a picture that kind of matches with the quest, and the entry cards have pictures that match with what's going on in the entry card. Anything else with components?
Oh, player mats.
Oh, player mats. We love those.
People love player mats, so...
At the top, this is where you keep your agents before they're used. Down here is where you keep your resources, and then down here, completed quest cards. Incompleted quest cards have a side point where it tells you where they go even, and there's some quest cards that give you bonuses throughout the game, and those go over here. So everything, the game tells you this is where you put things to keep track of them.
Yep, and it's not really too hard or trouble keeping your secret stuff away from everybody else.
To transition, there's something that we don't usually talk about. I'd like to throw one out there, which is theme. I mean, that's not usually a section that we usually talk about.
Likes and dislikes.
Well, I think this is.
It's going to come up there.
You want to save it to then?
Yeah.
Okay. So, where do you want to go?
Strategy.
I'll start with strategy. For me, Lord card really tells your strategy in the long run. Now, you can try to not play with your Lord card, but in the end,
that's a big piece.
I think in the end, you're trying to choose the quests or the buildings or the strategy that your Lord card tells you, because nobody else is going to know exactly what your strategy is if you do that.
Unless you're really paying attention, because 2 times in a row I had where you could get 2 different types of cards, and then you get an extra 4 for each one of those quests you've completed, which helped me out a lot. I didn't win either game that we played tonight, but it really gives you that good boost at the end, and if you're kind of driving on it, like I had 6 of them, which just gives you a big jump right at the end that other people probably won't expect, which is a good thing.
I kind of went with 2 different strategies in 2 different games. The first strategy I tried just buying a bunch of buildings, and I thought, this was my first time playing and I didn't really understand it. I decided I'm just going to go all out and just start buying up buildings. And really, the only person who really helped was everybody else at the table.
Yeah, we love that because we had a lot of options.
Yeah, and I would say if you hold off on those, it really hurts everybody else at the table not having those additional buildings.
Less places to go.
Less places to go, less way to build up your armory. Because these are armory guys, right?
Basically,
your people.
Adventurers.
I really did. It was just, purple or white.
Wait, this is a choose your own adventure?
It's a Where's Waldo? Anyways.
Don't underestimate the importance of the Castle Waterdeep. If you go there, it makes you the first player for the next round.
I was in first
and getting first dibs, because there are some places where maybe you have something that needs a lot of purple, and there's one space on here to get a purple cube, and you get one purple cube. Now, buildings and things may add other bonuses in purple cubes, but if you really need that, you need to go first the next round before it gets snatched up.
You almost have to plot out like a couple rounds beforehand to see, do I need that spot, or can I win the next round, or do the next round without it?
I will go with, there's the certain quest cards that have plot. Is it a plot quest? I had 2 of those, which is really nice because for every additional card that I did, it gave me 2 more of that particular type. Plus, I had one where, say someone's already on here, I can go, well, too bad. I'm going to be on there too. Because it just allowed me to do that with that special card. And it's luck of the draw, more or less, but it's nice when you can get those benefits.
My strategy was, on one of them I got, what's that card where you play it on another person, they have to play that card?
That's a mandatory quest.
Mandatory quest. I got that laid on me like the 2nd or 3rd round, and it set me back 3 rounds in my table.
Because you can only complete 1 quest each round.
But I completed it that round. My problem was I decided, for my resources, I was just going to wait it out and just be like, oh, I didn't land on it, I'll get it next round. When I should have just been, I'm gonna jump on that. I'm gonna be first round. I needed to do that right away, and I didn't, and that was really hurt me in the end.
Yeah, another strategy I have is we were kind of mean to one of our players here. He's a little upset with our play. The mandatory quest, Brian. The mandatory quest can really be a burden on somebody. I've read reviews where a player has had 3 or 4 mandatory quests played on them in one turn. We haven't been that brutal yet, but we had somebody who's had 2 mandatory quests placed on them in one turn.
Because what happens is most quests will get you 4 to 25 victory points when you complete them. And of course, the bigger it is, the more resources it takes to complete it. It'll take longer to build up. The mandatory quests tend to be like 2 victory points.
And it still requires a lot of resources.
No, they only require like 3. But the problem is you can only do 1 a round. So yeah, you complete it right away, but crap, that round's a waste now. I got 2 victory points.
And there's only 6 rounds. If you look
at
8 rounds.
And usually
he's number blind too. Yeah.
I was looking at the guys.
I noticed that the mandatory ones take usually like 3 of like 1 of each different colors.
Yeah.
So it really hurts you when you're like, okay, I needed 3 of this one and 2 of this one. Well, you just wiped out.
And especially if it asks for a purple. Because purple, as we said, if no one plays a purple building out for you to build it, there's only one place to get a purple on here. If your mandatory quest requires a purple and somebody takes that before you, you're out for 2 rounds now. Mandatory quests can be pretty brutal in this game. So one of the wise things is to use it properly. But unfortunately, in the second game, somebody kind of got ganged up on. And if I was that player, that probably take something out of it.
I felt that purple and black came up more so on
the buildings,
on the building side, or that you'd be able to collect those easier than, let's say, the white or the orange. And there are a lot of cards. It seemed like there was a lot of orange that need to be built up. So I don't know where that lies in strategy, but that's just kind of one thing I've noticed.
Yeah, pay attention to your quest cards.
Right, and then just
plan ahead.
Yep.
I think, are we ready to go into likes, dislikes of the game? Okay. I'm going to go, and I think we're all going to agree on the dislike. Unless you read the rule book, you would never know that these are people. It's just resources. I'm just getting cubes, and I need 3 purples and 2 blacks. Awesome, and that's all you're focusing on. It doesn't even say, can you give me a quest card here? It doesn't say you need 2 thieves, but it just says you're retrieving ancient artifacts. In order to do that, give me 2 orange, a black, and 2 purple. Okay, it doesn't say that, oh, to defeat this dragon, you need 2 warriors, a wizard, and it seems like they should have just done something more with that.
It could really draw you into the game a lot more that way.
The D&D theme, I think it's just to pull Dungeons & Dragons players into board gaming.
Yeah.
I don't know why else they have it.
You can go out there, and we talked about it earlier, people are making meeple cubes that actually look like wizards and things. I'm actually thinking about, now that I found out about those, about doing that. That would make this a much more visually appealing, because as Brian said, right now, Dungeons & Dragons, that name is just applied to the game for sales point.
I don't know if it's on the board. It's just Lords of Water. Does it say Dungeons & Dragons?
Yeah, right over here in the corner.
Oh, okay, over there.
I mean, but as far as simplicity's sake, it does make it simple and very easy to read, though.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so I mean, it defeats the theme piece, but it actually makes it very, very easy to find the construct of the game.
And let me pose this question: do you think if they started talking about the dragons and the wizards, and do you think that would turn people off, and maybe that's why they pulled back on the theme a little bit?
You know, actually,
the nerd factor would
we're
scare
already
people away.
nerdy gamers. I think dragons
But this game
ligers
is
are amazing.
so easy that you could. This
Did they
could
make a game
be.
with ligers?
I don't think so.
This game's easy enough that you could pull on
On the
non-gamers.
other
Anybody
hand,
could play it.
You know, when you're looking at this, and if you see the cubes, even if they were little people, I don't think it would matter if it said 2 wizards, whatever. People are going to just look at the color and go, I need this color. If you're not that into the game, like the story, I don't think it would make a big difference.
I think it'd be neat still to have the cubes shaped as meeples.
Oh, I agree.
And I think another reason why they didn't do it is because it'd be very hard to package these in that box as meeples. But I think it would look really cool if you had these little thief meeples to put. You know, I'm going to collect thief meeples because then you're not just saying blacks. I'm going to say black thief. It just pulled the story in a little bit more.
On that note, though, I think if I started getting more and more into the story, like 8 rounds would seem like it goes by too quick. Like I would want more rounds, and I almost felt that way to begin with, just a little bit, because it's like
there needs to be.
We're on 6, and I'm going, oh shoot, what am I? Oh, I'm really like I was just making my game plan, and I had like 3 quests, and I'm going, oh.
You got to act and act fast, and it's just you go for a quest, you get it done, do the next one, get the next one done.
That's the like for me though. It plays. I don't know what the box says, but you can play a game in under an hour, even with 4 or around an hour, I guess. Even with 4 players, it's just boom, boom, boom.
2 of us had not played it tonight, and we played our first game, and I think it was like an hour and 5 minutes. It was.
And the second game, I think it was like 45, 50 minutes.
40,
and it wasn't even let's go to another game. It was let's play this one again. And so it was very well received. However, though, do you want to talk about the setup actually in the box? I didn't get.
I'm going to open this up. I'm going to pull this into the camera a little bit, and we'll have pictures of this. The setup. I like the thought process in this, and that when you open up this box, everything has its place. Now, this is a really cool idea, and I loved it when I first opened it up. I mean, I fell in love with the fact that everything has its place. During the game, I like it because we can just reach in here and grab it. The problem is the teardown is a pain. I mean, everything has to sit in there just right. So I like it.
So that's what happens when you tip the box.
Don't do that. That's a pain. I love that. I love games that have this. That during the game we can say, "Oh, this count 4 here and here." I mean, it was very easy to grab. We just put it off at the end, and we don't have to have piles all over the table. But picking up became a pain. It takes a long time.
I thought
to tear down.
The card sections of putting them back in the box, because you're in and out of this section a lot. It was hard to restack them instead of just flow over to the rest of the areas.
If these had pots like this was, if these were made pots rather than having to put them in tightly, I think it'd be a lot faster to put to put things in and
that and the non-tip over factor is a big trouble.
This is a box that you cannot sit up on its edge. If you set it up on its, if you look how the box is made, I'm going to do this here. My box has been well loved. But if you see how the box is made, if you set this up on the edge, the pieces will... No, it's not. You keep saying that. The pieces won't fill out. The board does. The box isn't fused to each other like most board games do.
But even with the board in over top of it, it will fall.
Yeah, there's still too much space.
Too much space. Okay. My son did it by accident, and we had pieces and meeples all over the place. So...
Should we move into reviews?
Or
did you have more?
Nope.
Well, I just want to say the one thing I do like about this game...
The one thing you like.
That we haven't talked about. The one thing I like about this game that we haven't talked about is, unlike other resource and people placement games, this one you're engaged with your other members. You have to watch when somebody places on your building. You can mess each other over. When I play an intrigue card, somebody else gets to take an action. It's much more interactive than most people placement or resource utilization games. And I don't usually like those, but this one kept my attention a lot more.
Yeah, it is nice to be more engaged. So,
do you want me to start with the review?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to do this? Show the scale here.
Scale is 1 to 10. 1 being the worst game ever, throw it away, Monopoly, and 10 being the best game in the world. I couldn't think of anything better. Nintendo.
Ouch! Too much a board gamer.
The Nintendo board game.
The Nintendo board game that exists.
If somebody finds that,
Mario Party.
Do they have a board game?
Yeah, that's what that is.
That is the game. It's a board game on the Nintendo.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, 1 to 10, 10 is great.
Yes. All right. This was really fun for me. I would give it about a 9. The only downfall is the theme misses and the artwork is very plain on the board. It does get a little bit more detailed in the cards, but for me, the artwork and the themes are not really that. It's gameplay I like the most out of it, so I didn't really care too much to knock it down any more than that. So,
I'm actually also going to agree with you, and for once, it's kind of scary. I'm sorry to say that, but I give it a 9 as well. I really usually do not like Euro people placement resource utilization. I'm more of a person who likes to interact with the other players and to kind of mess around with them a little bit and build a strategy. And this allows me to do that, and it's still a resource management people placement game, and that really, it was intriguing to me. I agree with you. Theme misses. I think that all they would have to do is give me a little bit more people-looking pieces on these, and the theme would hit more. But for what it does it very well. It does it very smoothly, and I think it plays very nicely.
I like the game a lot. It got just raved about last year. I don't think it's quite what the hype machine built it up to be. I'd say it's solid 7, 5, or 8. Like I said, I still think the artwork's pretty ugly. I think it's very drab color-wise, and that does unfortunately let some of these things start to blend in and get lost in the shuffle.
And there's not enough race cars.
Once getting out there. And then again, the whole theme of I had no clue that those were supposed to be people.
Yeah.
Until you actually like
go
into the rule book or
these
think
are your
about
plans too,
Yeah.
and that nothing's mentioned really about that.
So yeah, it's
Or guilds.
it's a fun
Guilds,
game.
Sorry.
It's a good worker placement game. It's getting to be a kind of a crowded genre, in my opinion. I mean, we've got several worker placement games in our group,
Yeah,
but it's a really good one. So I'm gonna give it a 7, 5, or an 8.
Do it well.
Yeah, it's done well.
I'm going to go with a 7. I had a lot of fun playing it. I would recommend it for people, but for me, once I found out that the little cubes were supposed to be people, and it immediately took it away from me because I wanted to feel like I was more into the game. It plays quickly, which was fun, although it did feel a little rushed towards the end because at the beginning you feel a little bit like you're not getting enough resources, and at the end you just can't catch up. Other than that, the art on the cards isn't terrible. Like Brian said, the board isn't wonderful. But it was fun. I mean, we played it twice tonight, back to back, and I wasn't complaining. I mean, we probably could play it one more time, and I wouldn't, beat anybody in the head over it or nothing. So
that's kind of interesting. You're to the opposite spectrum than I am. You're more into the artwork and theme, and then I'm not.
Right.
So it's a 2-point difference.
If I knew that this was a mage and that was
so if these would have looked like people, would it have helped?
Yeah, it really would add more to the theme. I like the theme. I like to feel like I'm in the game. I mean, that's a lot of people play video games more on the basis of, well, they don't have imaginations. But that little extra to help you out would really do it for me. So I'm gonna give it a 7.
Good. Well, there you have it. This week's game, Lore of Waterdeep. We suggest that you check it out. Next week's game.
Don't look at me.
Zularetto.
Zularetto.
There we go. You're sharing your mind. Okay. Next week's game is Zularetto. Tune in.
And until then, like us on Facebook, all right, and YouTube especially, so you're entered into our drawing for the $20 gift card.
And check out our news website, meeplesonmeeples.com.
Good luck.